we don't have that much mummy or daddy issues, I feel.
Are we
I
delusional?
think Zura's is very subtle.
Oh.
Like, I don't...
Must point until like that, man.
Oh, sorry. Huh?
Hi, it's Hazel.
It's Azura.
And I'm Germaine.
And it's another episode of Clarity's Podcast. Well, I think it's safe to say that all three of us are euphoric. But
over
Are we?
what?
life, yeah, we're constantly happy. We're constantly feeling confident. Yeah. Yeah. But have you girls watched Euphoria? The
Euphoria.
series?
I love Euphoria. Big fan. I dressed as Maddie and Cassie from Euphoria for Halloween last year.
Oh, nice.
You've never seen Euphoria?
I haven't actually.
Haven't actually.
Oh, it's all the things we love. Love, sex, and drugs.
Oh,
No,
wow.
I mean love to watch.
Oh,
What?
okay. Thanks for the clarification.
So Euphoria is basically a show where it depicts like high school students, right? But in the United States, where it's, obviously rampant with like a lot of drug addiction, a lot of love, a lot of relationships, and it shows the dynamic not just between the students, but in their family as well, right? And what causes them to act like that, or act a certain way.
Right. So you mentioned two names just now, Maddie and Cassie.
Yeah, they're
What were
like
their roles like?
besties in the
Okay.
show, cheerleaders, right? Eventually, they fall out because of a boy. Yeah, so
What?
Cassie is someone that I would say she's a bit more beta, right? And she comes from a single parent family, and her mom is sort of like an alcoholic. She's always drinking as well. And that causes Cassie to, not be able to see relationships in a healthy way. And she ends up being used by a lot of guys around her, be it for sex, be it for attention or love. And she finds that to feed her self-worth, she kind of
Has to give it to them.
indulges in that unhealthy
Right.
relationship.
And I'm guessing Maddie is an alpha?
Maddie is super alpha. Maddie is like,
Okay.
the boss bitch, right?
Right.
She comes from a dual parent household, but from what we see, we don't see too much of her parents, except that her dad is just never around. Her mom is there, but because of that, she's never seen like, I would say, a healthy relationship to model after. And her relationships end up being very toxic as well. So I guess it shows a contrast, right? Even if you're from a single or dual parent household, you can end up in toxic relationships.
Yeah, and I think this is very good reference to the topic that we'll be discussing today, the influence of parenthood. Of course, three of us have never been parents, but I do have friends who have already become parents. And just watching the way that they parent their children actually teaches me a lot as well.
Oh.
So, Jeremy and I, we grew up in a dual parenthood like family, but Zura, you grew up in a single parenthood. Have you felt like it was tough?
I think it's a lot like being an only child, right? Of which people ask you what that's like. But I would never know what it's like growing up with siblings.
Right.
So it's a little bit hard to compare that way because that was literally all you ever knew. So for me, it was not always it's never been an issue of, oh, I've only got a mother, like, if you don't know what I'm talking about, please reference previous episodes, okay?
Season 1.
Season 1. So I've never really felt that way. I think the focus was more on maybe my relationship with my mother. I mean, that in itself is a lot already. So I think that was always the thing that I saw and not like what was missing. I didn't focus on what was missing. But I would say maybe I did grow up a lot faster. I can't tell at this point, right, whether I was always meant to be this independent or it was that situation that made me that way. I mean, maybe this is more specifically for me. I'm not generalizing this, but I think because, you see, first of all, I'm the only child. So there's one of me. And then there's one of my mother. And also, I think because of the circumstances of which my dad disappeared into thin air, right? So at that point, even though I was like 6, I think it was like I felt instantly that I had to make everything easier for her. Yeah.
But did you grow up being envious of other children who had two parents? Do you
No leh,
remember?
actually.
No?
I don't think so. Leh. Yeah. I don't know. There's something wrong with me. But
From what I have heard, right, obviously from Zura over the years, I think it goes both ways. I think because it's a single parent home, Zura did all she could to make her mom's life easier.
Right.
She did more in the family. She had to step up to the plate. But I think in the same vein, her mom also had to overcompensate for the fact that there wasn't a father figure present. So I think both of them overcompensated in that relationship with each other. Yeah.
And I'm glad it worked out well for both of you.
I guess now that I think about it, I also feel like I think for a long time, right, because of this situation, for a long time it made me feel like she was the only person I had.
Oh.
And I think it makes me project these expectations of I only have you and you only have me. And I think sometimes it shrouds me from seeing that she's her own person and she has her own life too.
Right. But actually, that is the same given that we are in a dual, like, parent family,
Yeah.
right? My mom and my dad, they are both busy with work. Actually, in a year, we sit down together less than 5 times to have dinner together.
That's true. Me too.
Right.
Yeah.
It just isn't like a thing in the family. But I grew up still appreciative that I have them both. Do you think there's a difference?
I don't know how it was for you growing up, but so I have a very confusing attachment style in my adulthood that I'm trying to unlearn because of two things, right? I have two parents. One of them was a little bit I don't want to say this, I don't know if my mom listens to Hush, but one of them was a bit more emotionally volatile growing up.
Okay.
Right? There'd be a lot of screaming in the house, and that's what I really grew up with. The other one was not really around because of work, right? Working very, very hard, very long hours, 16, 17 hours a day. So because one was a bit more avoidant and one was a bit more volatile, I grow up now having both an avoidant and anxious attachments. That's what I've seen in my relationships, right? Because of how my parents were growing up. But I feel like for you, I feel like you have a healthy attachment because probably things at home were maybe more stable.
I think my parents, they are the independent type. They brought us up thinking, no worries, my children will be okay on their own. You know,
Right.
just have someone to pick them back from school and then
Yeah.
they're good. Of course, if they have extra time, they try to bring me to the tuition center and stuff like that. But, you know, looking back, I think I could use a little more attention. But that's fine now because I think that has made me independent. I appreciate the way that they brought me. But I have to say, the way our parents communicate with us or like bring us up really affects our childhood and how we turn out to be.
100%.
Right. Okay, so I want to share this story. I recently met this Gen Z person. Okay. And he turned out to be someone so mature for his age.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was very curious as to how he could think this way. So I asked him about like how he was brought up in his household. And he told me 3 very interesting facts. So first of all, he says that in his family, they will wait for everybody to come home from work or from school and then they have dinner together every single day without fail.
Wow.
Right? And then like at the dinner table, this is when they will share the good, the bad, the ugly happenings of their day. Secondly, he said, even when he was in primary school, his dad would give him any amount of pocket money that he asked for.
Oh, wow.
Any amount. So
Okay.
back in primary school, like $10 a week was a lot.
lot,
Yeah, so
yeah.
it's $2 a day, right? Mondays to Fridays.
Yep.
And sometimes his dad would give him like $4. And he'd be like, no, you keep the remaining $2. I'll just take the $2 that I get for my pocket money. So I think growing up, he has this concept of finance. Yeah. And last but not least, his parents doesn't impose a curfew on him.
How old is he now?
He
must
not even
be-
21.
Oh,
Like he's
wow.
20, turning 21.
Okay, yeah.
So I was very surprised to know that he didn't have a curfew. And his reason for that was, I think my parents trust me enough to know that I'm handling my own time well.
That's a very healthy
Right.
family relationship.
No, but if I were a parent, I don't know if I dare to try that. What if things go like incredibly wrong?
Okay, here's the thing.
Right.
Like, obviously, we all know, like, I'm extremely free-spirited and I believe in this, right?
Yeah, that's the right word. Sorry.
You got a better word?
Yeah. But cannot say on the camera. Yeah. Free-spirited.
And I've always believed in this. I've also seen this through a friend, of which it's the opposite a little bit. Because I know the parents,
Oh, okay.
and then I see the kid. And I feel like no one wants to be treated in a way of which they are being withheld from something.
Because then you crave it more.
Correct.
Reversely.
That is true.
Correct.
So by giving him however much money he
Correct.
wants, he can then form his own thoughts of, actually, maybe I don't need that much because you have excess of it.
Right.
When something is readily available to you, when you're not being, I think, deprived of it, it doesn't feel like you're chasing after it.
Right.
So it's like, it's the same way. Okay, so basically the daughter, right? They've always given her the choice and freedom to make whatever choice she wants, her own decisions, since she was young.
Okay.
They would never tell her what to do, of which I've seen sometimes they gotta bite their damn tongue, right? Like, to commit to this. So basically, let me give you an example. So I think there was this point, she was in uni, and it was her last 6 months, her last sem. She was taking a double major, but in that last sem, she was like, maybe I'm gonna drop one.
Oh, in the last sem,
In the last sem.
I would never. My kid, I'd be like, you better finish the damn double major.
And he was just like, my friend was just like, I had to bite my damn tongue because I committed to allowing her to make her own decisions. So all I could say was, you think about it lah. I mean, it's just another 6 months. And eventually she came around and she said, you know what? I'm going to finish it.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, thank God.
She has a double major now?
Yes, she does.
Congratulations.
Proud of
Wow.
you.
Yeah, but I think I will always remember this as well because one of the first few things they told me was when she first went to uni and stayed in hall, everybody was going crazy. Her friends were going crazy because of this newfound freedom that they never had.
Right.
But to her, it was like, why do I have to stay out late? Like,
She's
whatever
always
lah.
had it.
Yes.
Exactly.
And I think in turn, sometimes you make better decisions.
Yeah, I think a very simple example was when I was young, right? My parents used to deprive me of sweet drinks, soft drinks, you name it,
Oh.
like gassy drinks. And I would crave them so damn
Really,
much.
ah?
Yeah, they wouldn't let me have it.
They didn't let me have it too. And I just never drank it. Now I only drink 2 things.
Interesting.
You see? So it can turn out both ways.
Yeah.
By giving your child any amount of pocket money that he or she wants, what if he took it all? Like, I know of a friend who had $400 a week for pocket money back in poly.
Oh my god.
So that's 1.6K a month.
Oh,
That's
wow.
more than internship
That's
pay.
a lot of money. Exactly. So he's always very generous with his spendings. You know, when they go out, we go out to eat together, he would offer to pay and stuff like that. But should that be the case?
I think it goes both ways, right? In terms of I think different parenting styles. You never know. And parents are humans too. They're humans.
Right.
And they make mistakes and they don't know what the hell they're doing. If any one of us here becomes a parent, right?
Oh, I'm screwed, man. But I'm actually analysing this list that I have
Okay.
right here. It says impacts of parenthood. Okay, so there's 8 pointers here. If you're a parent listening to this, maybe you can just have a listen to see how many boxes you've checked.
Yeah.
If you are a child, you can see if this is present in yourself. Okay, so first of all, emotional development. Your parents will influence how they regulate your emotions and how they develop your self-esteem. I think this is very important.
That's what I don't have.
Hey.
No, as in emotional regulation, not
Right.
self-esteem. I
Hey,
have
I'm
self-esteem.
so sorry. Can I just share something?
Okay.
So because growing up, I think my coping mechanism was to shut my emotions off.
Oh.
It's, like how nothing phases me. It's how you all think I'm so calm and everything. It's because from young, I push it aside. My coping mechanism was, if I cannot do anything about it, don't feel it, waste time.
Yeah, don't think about it,
But
right?
that's a good
No leh, because
coping-
it has come back to bite me back in the ass.
Oh.
So there are certain things that I had formulated or, learned as a child that I had to catch myself right now because I see them sort of like coming out in different shapes and forms.
Right.
For example, right? Okay, because we were just talking about like emotional development and like, attachment styles. Something that I actually realized maybe a couple of years ago was that I always thought that my father leaving did not have any impact on me.
Yeah, this is true because I would be like, Azura, are you sure you don't have daddy issues? And she'd be like, no lah, I don't have daddy issues. But you
But-
do.
On the surface, it really doesn't seem like she has any daddy issues.
Correct.
What-
but I'll
what
tell
are
you in
these
what
issues?
form it
Oh,
comes
yeah,
out
yeah,
in,
yeah.
okay?
Interesting.
Anyone who enters my life, especially in the beginning, I tend to push. I will push and push and push for no reason. And I can't
Wait,
tell
push
why.
meaning what? Push him
Push
away?
away.
Push
Push him
away,
away,
push
okay.
buttons,
Like-
push, push, test. Because in my head,
Oh.
it's like, I think people are going to leave anyway. So show
Right.
me.
That's
Actually,
a bit like self-sabotage, Yeah.
it's not that I'm aware that I'm doing that, but I had to catch myself like, actually, why the hell am I saying this? Or why the hell am I doing this? Like, actually, the fella never do anything, what?
Yeah,
True.
exactly.
Yeah.
True.
Which brings me
Yeah.
to my next point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Social development.
Oh.
Okay. Develop social skills, empathy, the ability to form and maintain relationships with others.
Yeah.
Actually, on a friendship level, I think Zura does this perfectly. She's able to maintain relationships with friends, but maybe in the relationship side of things, you tend to think a bit more.
When the heart comes into play,
Oh,
I think
gosh.
she's very guarded. And because of that, she's always trying to protect herself first. At the same time, while she's trying to open herself up, it's very conflicting.
Right.
Yeah. You've grown so much. The fact that
Yeah.
you're aware of this. Yeah. Now
Good
unlearn
step.
it, please. so that people can come into your
trying.
life. Okay.
Okay, so there's also cognitive development. Just now we mentioned the heart versus the mind, right? I feel like what is very important in parenthood is also helping your children engage in activities, problem solving,
Yeah.
help them with their critical thinking skills.
Like, how much money do I need for pocket money this week?
Like Lego,
Exactly.
you like to do Lego now, right?
Why all lah? Who's laughing? I do.
Cognitive skills.
Yeah, take your kids fishing. It's a good skill. Yeah, I mean also moral development because your parents are your role models, right?
Oh.
Whatever that they do, if you know, let's say like your parents, right, when they play mahjong, right, then they cheat and stuff. You will
出
learn
老千, they
what
say.
is 出老千? Cheat.
lor. Yeah.
You learn that from them, right? Because they are your moral compasses and
Right.
your moral guides growing up.
Right.
Yeah.
So my parents growing up, they always give my grandparents money every month. So I asked my parents, Amma is so old already. What does she need the money for? But my dad would say, no, it's a token of appreciation.
Yeah,
So this money still
oh.
has to be given. And I learned through his actions. And now I'm doing the same to my parents.
Exactly.
Okay, I feel like sometimes, we address all the time that parents were never given a guidebook when they had kids, right?
Right.
They are also feeling their way through things. But I feel that if you're about to be parents or if you decided to be parents, I think the responsibility goes far beyond providing for that child.
Yes.
For
Because
sure.
especially exactly what we're addressing today, there are a lot of things that happen in childhood, for example, that you may not remember, but the kid remembers forever. Actually, right, I don't know if y'all have seen, but like we had this clip from Phil Piety that blew up in TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you have a scroll at the comments, it's actually pretty bad because people are saying like, my parents have said this to me and I know for a fact they don't remember, but I hold on to that till today,
Oh
you know?
my gosh.
Let me share a story.
Yeah.
Not to go into detail because I think it's very personal and very private. But because my mother has always been tiger mom, I think she put it on herself as well that she was the only one raising me, that she had to do everything right, whatever definition of right was. But she was pretty tiger as well, in which she felt like she had to give me everything that I needed.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the focus was in terms of like skills, of like education. I think there was a overlook on like the emotional bit.
Right.
So for a very long time, she was always the kind of person of which like yes is yes, no is no, white is white, black is black. It was always black and white. It was always correct or wrong. And then maybe when I was about 10, 11, 12-ish, that sort of age, I found out something about her of which was
Wrong.
yes.
Okay. It's black, basically.
Yes.
Did it shatter your, image of her?
Or like moral compass.
Yes, and I think I struggled with it for many, many years. And I think for many years after that, I didn't know how to respect her because that was all you taught me. If you had not been so hard on black and white, if you had taught me that there are a lot of grace in life, I would not have seen it that way. But because that was what I was being taught, and then I saw that.
But who's to say she's not blaming herself or beating herself up for it till this very day, right? She probably is, if she's someone who is so strict on her morals.
Like as a parent, right? I just a more simplified, example of that to understand, right? As a parent, lying is wrong. While sometimes white lies may be okay, that is the gray. I would never tell my child white lies are okay. The gray is okay. So inadvertently, sometimes you push the black and the white on your kids just because you want them to come out being the best person that they can be, right? They don't understand a lot of concepts till they're much older. And at 10 and 11, I think it was still pretty young. Perhaps it was never meant for you to stumble upon that fact. But unfortunately you did, and it has repercussions well into your adult life.
Yeah.
Right?
And because of that, maybe, everything is great to me now.
Okay.
Yes,
That's interesting.
because of one
Yeah.
incident, it actually taught you to shape your beliefs in another way.
Yeah. So I mean that is, in many different ways, parents have to take care of us, and it's not just mental. I know what you're saying is about values and beliefs
Right.
and all that, but I think in terms of physical well-being as well, for you, your parents never let you drink sweet drinks when you were young. For me, my parents let me drink whatever I wanted, right? So I would have one packet drink a day, sometimes even 2 or 3, and I grew up with such a sweet tooth, and it was so bad for me. Like I had such high blood sugar because of all of this. But as I grew older, I then made the choice to not drink sweet drinks, right? And it was because when I grew up, I decided for myself. But I think physical well-being is also something that you don't want to control too much, but you do have to give them some guidance.
Right. So
Yeah.
that they have proper nutrition and stuff like
Exactly.
that. Oh, educational support.
Yeah.
I think this is very important as well. I would never have gone to JC if my mom didn't tell me to do so.
Oh.
So back then, I was deciding between poly or JC. And it's very stupid of me to think this way. And I'm so embarrassed to say this. But
You don't want to wear uniform.
no. Back then, I was dating this guy who went to poly. Okay, let's just put it this way. Who went to poly. So I was
Okay.
thinking, like to continue the relationship, I also want to go to poly. And then my mom
Understand.
sat me down and said, look,
妹妹啊。
妹妹啊，
Mei, you know,
不要笨笨啊。
yeah, don't think this way. When you can go to JC and pursue a degree in university, if it makes it easier for your life, why the hell not? And then I really thought about her words and I decided, okay, let me go to JC then. Of course, we broke up in the end, right? Like in the first 3 months of me being in JC, I was so heartbroken. I was so sad. He's the guy who hurt me the most.
Was that your first love?
No. But I was so upset. On hindsight, I'm so happy that my mom came in to tell me to take this path. Because if not, I wouldn't have done so.
You know what's the ironic thing is you wanted to go to poly for a guy. I went to JC for a guy.
Damn.
Yeah, but then I ended up leaving JC because I just didn't.
You broke out also.
No.
No?
Not my thing, right?
Okay,
JC, right? My parents have always been very. They gave me all the leeway I wanted in education, right? Wherever I want to. Do I want to go JC, go poly? Because I was always a studious student, right? I would never leave my homework behind.
White specs.
Yes, I had the specs and all that. Yeah. And growing up, my mom was the ultimate MVP. She actually quit her job when I was 7 and my brother was 8 to basically like ferry us from school every single day, whether we had the morning shift, afternoon shift, whatever time it is. And she would bring me lunch every day and she would do my homework with me every day. And you know, like if I'm struggling with art homework, she's very good with like art and stuff. She would literally like sit there and, you know, pay me the whole night and do it with me. Yeah, so she was really the ultimate in terms of like educational support.
Man,
Yeah.
I remember I had to make a sheep mask. Like the sheep mask.
Oh, sheep.
Sheep.
okay.
And my mom had to take like the cotton pad
Yeah.
and then like shred it with me and then like we have to paste it on the mask. It was the worst thing ever.
But it's
It smelled so
love,
bad.
But it's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
love, right?
It was good times.
Yeah.
Good times. Yeah, so I guess, you know, the discipline and guidance that our parents provide to us can really shape who we are when we eventually step out into society. But yeah, you know, looking back, of course, we appreciate them for all that they've done. They're doing their best, I'm sure.
No, absolutely, yeah.
So now let's talk about some examples of these impacts. I feel like, you know, how the children turn out to be, of course, is a direct influence of the parents. You can turn out to be very hardworking, dedicated, committed, and having a strong work ethic.
Sure, yeah.
I feel like I see this in a lot of my friends who were brought up in very loving households, responsible parents, be it single or like dual parents.
I do see a bit of hyper independence in Azura, right?
What is
because
hyper independence?
hyper independence is where you, at most times, you feel completely self-reliant. Like you only have yourself to count on, like not counting friends and all that. But even when you lived overseas for uni at a very young age, right? And you were completely fine with that. You know you can count on yourself.
Wait, so is hyper independence the same as being independent?
Being independent is, you know, everyone needs some form of independence.
Right.
But hyper independence is when it's kind of like a negative trait where in many cases, you know you should be able to rely on someone. You have people around you, but you reject that.
Yeah.
You just want to count on yourself.
yeah.
'Cause
Basically,
you
it's
don't
a
trust
response
anyone.
to like a post-traumatic event, and that's why you react this way.
I guess. And also, I feel like it comes down to even like little things, you know, because it's not that it's hard for me to ask for help because I know that people are ready to do that. But I had to unlearn that and I had to learn that, you know, it's okay to let people do things for you because it just feels like I can do what I do lah. And in fact, a couple of days ago, I just had this conversation with a friend who's also an only child, who also came from a single parent household. And she has been single for like 5 years. And she was just saying, like, you know, honestly, I don't know how to let anyone do anything for me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she was like, I can't even let the fella open the door for me. I was like, babe, just let the fella open the door.
It is hyper independence.
Yeah.
The door?
Yeah.
I'd be pissed if the guy didn't open the door.
Me
for
too.
Right.
No, actually, I had to unlearn that too. Because usually I would open the door. So I was telling her, like, I had to stop myself, you know?
Yeah.
I could very well be walking in front. Now I will fucking wait. I will. Whoop. You open.
That's called unlearning past trauma.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like people who are hyper independent also, there's a strong sense of self-confidence. Maybe sometimes a bit too strong. Like you think that you can take things, in your stride. Anything, you are the best at it. Rather than let someone else handle it for you.
I think the way that parents speak to their children and what they say to their children growing up really does affect their confidence.
Right.
Yeah, if you're constantly talking down to your kid, telling them, you're so stupid, you'll never amount to anything, they keep that and they grow up with that and they really think, I will never amount to anything, right?
Yeah.
But when you encourage your kid when they're young, even if they make mistakes, like, you're doing just great, you're doing fine, it's the way that you speak to them.
And also, some kids have a fear of intimacy. Like, I legit have some friends who are afraid to be intimate with
Why?
other people. I don't
Where
know,
is it
maybe it's the
stemming
way
from?
that they were brought up. Maybe there was just no figure in the household that they could be comfortable or like intimate with. And as a result, they grow up staying away from that.
This is a great point because I saw a friend post this just now, which
Okay.
I think is very relevant. It has Chinese words, so I'll ask Hazel to read.
Nice. Give it to me.
Okay.
In my culture, words mean less than the plates of food pushed in your direction. The double take at gone faces with something clutched between pride and love and the peppering of 吃饱了吗? In my family, hugs don't exist. Displays of affection are only a myth. Here, we don't believe in opened arms or the run of dialogue. Only in replies of 吃饱了. Man. Well, but this is really the way that Asian parents are.
It's true.
It's cultural.
吃饱了吗? It
Yeah.
encompasses so much love,
Yeah.
care and
true.
concern for you.
And to them, that's my show of care. But I think sometimes for kids, I want a little bit more.
Yeah, I just want a hug from you.
Yeah. And actually, it's funny because our friend who's getting married this weekend,
Oh, okay.
I love her.
they come from very different backgrounds, of which in her household, it was full love, full of hugs, very affectionate. And in his household, it was this.
吃饱了吗?
Correct. And he believes that coddling your kids that way causes them to be spoiled.
Oh.
And she has to be like, no, if we have kids, I will fucking hug and kiss them while I can because that's my job to. It does not mean that they're going to be spoiled.
Yeah, I would love my kids. I
Yeah.
would give them kisses and
I
hugs
also
all
would
day.
kiss your kids.
I don't want
Yeah,
you
me
to
too.
be anywhere near my kids anymore. I'm scared.
But well, mommy issues or daddy issues are a very real thing. Like, let's be realistic. These terms are commonly used to describe emotional or psychological challenges that people may face due to their relationship with their parents, right? So I think we don't have that much mommy or daddy issues, I feel.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
Are we
I
delusional?
think Zura's is very subtle.
Oh.
Like, I don't...
Must point until like that, man.
Oh, sorry. Huh?
Very subtle lah. I feel like you're someone who
All
handles
things
herself very well.
considered, right?
Yeah. Yeah. She's
I
a very
think
confident person.
I was thinking about it the other day and I was like, you know what? For all these issues that I have, thank God I'm self-aware.
Mm.
I'm staying silent. Yeah, but you see, it doesn't matter what kind of family dynamic you grew up in, right? It doesn't mean that, if you have single parent, you're going to have more issues. Sometimes dual parents, having both parents there and both parents fuck
Right.
up, also more issues.
Right, like present but absent parenting.
Correct.
Right? Both of them are there in your life, but both of them are not there.
Yeah.
They're either busy working, running their own chores. They
Yeah.
don't have time for you.
Or
Exactly.
like parents who everybody knows that they're not together but they're staying together for the kids. You know?
Well, I can't... Oh, this is effort on their part lah.
Mm.
Then again, there might be conflict or disagreement between parents. Like, I remember there was one time when I was really young, my parents fought over something like really small. But that scarred me. I don't even remember what they were fighting over. But I remember that they were unpleasant and the whole vibes in the household were just very negative.
Oh.
And I remember it to this very day.
Oh.
It's funny how like one incident, we can remember it. Though it was just like maybe a heated moment of impulse for them. Lack of quality time. Hey, sometimes I feel like I could use this more. Like quality time with my parents growing up. But I also understand that they're working very hard to make money for the household. But yeah, they might be occupied with other responsibilities and this can result in reduced individual attention, right?
I mean, that's why parents, we hear them say like mum guilt, dad guilt, of which
yeah.
like they don't really have a choice. They really want to be there, but at the same time, like who's going to feed you,
Yeah, so my niece, Kira, her mum, which is my sister-in-law, she works. So every time she goes out to work, she'll text in the group chat saying, oh, I miss my daughter so much. And I know that she's suffering from mommy's guilt. But at the same time, yeah, she also has to make money.
Yeah.
Right. This brings me to my next point. Parental stress and burnout.
Yeah.
They're humans too. And working so hard, working on so many levels and responsibilities, you can burn out pretty fast if you're not careful, you know?
No, definitely. I think because this is your child, right? I mean, at your work, sometimes you make mistakes. It's fine. But with your child, you don't want to make any mistakes. And because of that, you put so much mental pressure on yourself to be perfect that sometimes you just break, right?
So I feel like communication is actually very important. Maybe your child is at a very young age, but start this communication with them. Make sure that they know how to open up to you with their honest thoughts. I think that's super important.
And I think when they do open up to you, your response is very important because one time, two time, they start learning that actually I'm not getting what I need out of you, or I'm getting the response that I don't need. And then they start shutting off.
Right. Yeah, there was a period in my life where it was like that. I don't know, when we were going through the rebellious phase, I just felt like nothing I said to my mum
I'm still in it.
meant anything to her. Damn, sis. Damn.
Mommy issues.
Yeah. But you know, both parties are trying. We're trying our very best.
Even till today, I am still learning how to communicate with my parents.
Oh, me too, man.
Right. And for some reason, I feel like we have less patience with our parents than with our friends. Like if my friend says something piss me off, sometimes I'll just namaste. But if my mom says just something like she just, is disapproving or gives me a disapproving look, I'm like, Mommy, why you like that? Do you know what I mean? We have less patience for them.
Yeah, sometimes when I go back home over the weekend and my mum will be like, every weekend you come back home, cannot speak to me nicely, man. You know, that kind of thing? Because you just be like,
But don't you think sometimes it's also because we want more approval from them than anyone else?
Yes, I fully agree.
True.
Like, our mothers want us to tell them about our days, right? I tell them what's happening at work, in the company. Mei, you shouldn't be like that, you know. What will other people think of you? And then, it's like, it defeats the purpose of me telling you about my day.
And then you don't want to do it in the future, right? I mean, yeah.
But, all in all, I feel like having both parents in a household don't necessarily mean that this is a better quality of life than growing up in a single parent household. Like, Azura, what are some positives from growing up with just your mom?
Because it was a norm for me, right? I did not ever think of anything else other than that. But when I got older and I saw other people, I realized that some people had this belief, or they had seen that, like girls can't do anything or everything. But for me, it was always like, I can do anything I want to because I saw her do everything.
Do you feel like because you grew up with a single parent that, obviously you don't have to split your love or attention or time between two parents? Do you feel like it's stronger?
I think while it is stronger, it also becomes a little bit more codependent. In a negative way, maybe your expectations rises. But maybe it's just me.
No, it's natural. The closer you are, the more friction there's going to be, right? But I feel like it's a never-ending process to learn how to communicate with our parents. Likewise, our parents are always trying to communicate with us on a better level. So to wrap this episode up, what are some words of advice that we can give to our listeners here who maybe are facing some challenges in their household?
We keep saying, right, our parents are not perfect people, but even in that relationship, you probably need to set some boundaries for yourself and for your parents, right? Because boundaries are the key to healthy relationships, and you have to respect your own needs at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's okay to lean on others. Okay, Zura, I'm looking at you. It's okay to rely on your friends or even your relatives out of your immediate household. Who knows, they might be able to provide you with useful insights that you never thought you need.
I think I learned very early in life that family does not have to be blood because of how little family I had. So I learned very early on that I had to invest in people, I had to invest in friends, and that these people eventually, like, you can choose your own family eventually, right? And like I always say, like, I have tons of family dinner all the time, just different families all the time. Yeah.
And I think this is a good way to think about it because in a certain regard, you are looking after your mental health. Yeah, by spreading out, your communities and like trusting different people with snippets of your life, right? I feel like this is crucial. and engaging in self-care activities. Simple dinners.
Correct.
Yeah.
You don't go to one friend for everything. You go to different friends for different things. So you can't expect the same out of your family. You can't expect them to be able to provide you everything.
Yeah, and on the flip side, some families are very overbearing. And because of that, they feel like if you spend time outside of the family, like whatever free time you have should be spent with the family, within your family. And they control every decision you make. Just know that it is okay for you to maintain a social life outside your immediate family, right? To have friends, to have hobbies, to have activities that bring you joy that have nothing to do with your family.
Right. Being realistic is very important. You should recognize that family dynamics is a complex thing. So it's important to approach them with a realistic and balanced mindset so that you don't hurt yourself. And last but not least, we always say this on Hush Podcast, make use of professional support. If you feel like you need it, speak to someone.
There's family therapy.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, that
Where the
actually
whole
is.
family can go in for therapy.
Oh, that's so awkward.
That sounds chaotic.
Oh my God.
But
Yeah. But well, if you need it, you need it.
Clarity should do an episode
Yes.
where they send a family in for family therapy.
That's right.
And,
And we are the therapists.
We are the therapists.
No lah, babe. We will cause damage, please.
Yeah, we'll cause
That is
irreversible
true.
trauma.
That is true.
But I just want to say, I know we spoke a lot about our parents and how they're not perfect. We're not perfect too. Like I was a brat growing up.
Oh, gosh.
Right? And my parents had their 4 hands full with just me alone, not even counting my brother. So I'm very, very grateful for everything that they have done, right, for me in my life. And yeah, I love them no matter
yeah.
what.
Every time my mom nags at me, she'll say this, next time when you're a mother, you'll know.
Yeah.
And I actually believe that. I know that all of the effort that she's put in so far is only because she's a mom and I'm not yet. So I'm not able to understand her. But of course, I appreciate her. I love my dad, even though he's more of an introvert, right? And he doesn't really communicate much. But they brought me up in the best way they can. And for that, I'm very thankful.
And I hope that kids and parents alike would recognize that at the end of the day, they're all trying their best and that they're all humans, right?
Yeah.
And I think beyond that label of mom or dad or child, that you are able to see each other as people.
Yeah.
Wow, this episode is wholesome, eh?
I love you, mom and dad.
Yeah, I love you too, Mama Papa. And I love Zura's mom too. Because I've seen her once at the airport. All right, with that, thank you so much for tuning in to Clarity's Hush Podcast. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at itsclarity.co.
That's right. You can listen to us on Me Listen, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Turn on your notification.
And we're also on YouTube where you can basically, watch us talk
See
about
her
our
dark
parents.
gold.
Yeah.
I'm in a dark gold
She says her
bodysuit
outfit
today.
is dark gold. First of all, what is dark gold even?
Actually, it's brown. I was wrong.
All right, it's Hazy, Zura, and Germaine with you, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. Who's the first to become a parent here? Let's take a vote from the floor.
Okay.
Who thinks it's Azura? Okay, no votes. Who thinks it's Hazelle? 4 votes. Who thinks it's me?
Germaine.
Okay. Hey, excuse me.
Yeah.
Why are you guys voting? All right, Hazelle, congratulations. You're
Thank you,
having
thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.